Oh, we're talking about character death today on Greyhawk Ragnar. Just as a reminder, this is a collaboration video between myself, Joe the Lawyer, Eric Tenkar, and for the first time ever, our fourth wheel, Don Samora, who will be with us for the entire month of January, doing these collaborations on Fridays, as well as our Sunday night special live stream. So welcome aboard, Don. All right, so character death. Obviously, I'm an old school D&D guy, so I'm more used to character death than kids today. Back in my day, we died when we reached 0 hit points, or at least we became unconscious and started to slowly bleed out. If you were playing basic D&D, you hit 0 hit points, you're out. If you were playing Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, when you hit 0 hit points, you started to lose a hit point every round until you hit -10, and then you were dead. During that time, you could have your wounds bound and so forth, but then you'd still be all messed up for 1 to 6 turns, and you'd have to rest for a week, and it was a significant thing. And I think that gave the game a little more stakes, right? So you were much less likely to do something stupid or to rush into combat when the stakes were so high and the penalties for going to 0 or negative hit points were so ginormous. According to the rules, you weren't supposed to be able to adventure for a week once that happened. Plus, back in the day, you only got 1 hit point per day resting. So even if you did make it back into positive hit points, you were you were not in good shape after that week unless you had a cleric casting Cure Light Wounds or something on you. So there was a real big consequence for going into combat. Even if you had a decent number of hit points, you could very easily end up rolling up a new character. And I think that has changed. Well, I don't think I know that has changed over the years. It has gradually become harder to die as a character. Until now, we have the 2024 fifth edition rules, and where you're dropping to 0 hit points. Let me just read upon it. Monster death. Monsters die if they hit 0 hit points. Okay, boom, that's it. Your monsters are playing basic D&D. If you get level drained so that you have like 0 maximum hit points, you're dead. Okay, that makes sense, but level drain is something that you hardly ever see in fifth edition anymore. And then you have massive damage. If you go to negative hit points more than like you double your normal hit points, you die automatically. It's just a rare thing that's probably not going to happen all that often. Character demise, you get if you reach 0 hit points and don't die instantly, you have the unconscious condition. Okay, just like in first edition. Um, uh, but then you start getting death saving throws, and this is where it all goes to hell, because you have to make three death saving throws. Um, if it's you have a roll a d20, and if it's 10 or higher, you you succeed, right? You get a success. If you get three successes, your character is stabilized. Fine. If you get three um, failures before you get the three successes, your character dies. The trouble is, and if you roll a one, it counts as twice. It counts double, and if you roll a 20, it counts double. Okay, yeah, that's fine. But here's the kicker: the way they've worded that, they have stacked the deck in favor of success, because roll a d20, if the roll is 10 or higher, you succeed. That is not a 50-50 chance. That is a 55-45 chance of success. And when you do the math and multiply that out, um, it's the race to three problem. It's almost a 60% chance that you're going to succeed that roll. So they have stacked the deck in characters' favor of not dying. So they've made it really hard. Add to that, the fact that you have the massive hit point totals and so forth. It's fifth edition. It is not nearly as easy to die in combat or because you did something stupid. as it was in earlier editions. Hi, everybody. Please help me keep Greyhawk alive by liking this video and subscribing. It really does help. You can also become a member of the channel or support me on Patreon and get early access to my videos, exclusive content, free or at-cost copies of my Greyheim Adventures modules, and more. Thanks, and now back to the show. I think that that has changed the way the game is played. It changes the way the players view the characters, and I think it's lost something. I think the game has lost something by not being as deadly as it once was, because the stakes are lower. If I'm playing basic or labyrinth lord or something, and I'm in combat with, if I'm a second level fighter in combat with two orcs, there is a real chance I'm going to have to roll up a new character. Um, if I'm playing AD&D, it's a little less because, especially if I have other people in the party with me who can stabilize me and so forth. But in fifth edition, I mean, it's going to take a lot for me to die from those two orcs. And that makes it much more likely that I'm just going to rush into combat. I don't have to be as circumspect in my actions in the game as I did back in the day. Which is not to say we didn't have hack and slash play back in the day. Of course we did. You're never not going to have that. But I think having the consequences of hacking and slashing be so uh, uh, less now than they used to be. I think that really makes it more likely and less likely that you're going to have to role play yourself out of a situation. So, for example, in AD&D, you're the expectation, even if it wasn't, we didn't always play this way, but the expectation in the rule books seems to be, you're going to roll encounter, for encounters and you're going to roll for encounter reactions, and then things might make fail a morale check and retreat rather than fighting to the death. There's a whole series of things that makes it, makes you want to avoid combat, or even if you're in the combat, to disengage from the combat. And that goes hand in hand with the idea that you're not getting your primary source of experience points does not come from killing monsters. It comes from getting treasure. And in a lot of circumstances, you don't have to kill the monster to get the treasure. You can fool the monster. You can sneak around the monster. You can do all kinds of things. You can talk to the monster while your friend the thief is taking the treasure. There's all kinds of things you can do short of combat to get the experience points that you would from the treasure. And in modern D&D, it's all about killing monsters. And it's changed the way the game is played, and in a way that, at least to my mind, makes it less fun. Because I want to be able to feel a sense of accomplishment when I've done something in the game, and by having character death be so much further removed from the realm of possibility than it was in the older versions of the game, my sense of accomplishment, my sense of achievement for overcoming those odds is commensurately less. And that's why I think objectively, um, and I'm not saying people who like 5e are, wrong fun. I'm not trying to say that, but in my case, objectively, I want that sense of accomplishment that comes with beating higher odds, and the odds of dying are simply higher in older games. That's just the way the rules are written. And obviously you can design a scenario in an older game, which is a cakewalk, and you can design a scenario in 5e, which is a complete just murder. It's a war crime against your players. That's just, you can do that if you set out to do it. Which is why I was opening with Tomb of Horrors, which was famously an anti-player war crime. But short of that, I think that it does change the way you play the game, and not for the good. And also when we died back in the day, we just picked up and we changed the name on the character sheet, and it was the same character, and we just went with it that way. It didn't bother us. If we're in a dungeon and somebody dies, and then lo and behold, boom, a clone of you just happens to pop up. It didn't break the fourth wall for us. It just, we knew we were playing a game. We understand that. But if you're in some epic quest thing, or where it's much more story driven than exploration driven, then it becomes much harder to justify doing that. because again, you are losing the stakes. But also, don't forget that back in the day, we also played with a lot of hirelings and henchmen. And the idea was you could, if your primary character died, you could then take that henchman who was already in the dungeon with you, and just that guy becomes your main character now. So there were ways to mitigate the player impact of a character dying, because the player, in essence, had multiple characters. Even if one was the main character, then the others were henchmen. If the main character dies, you can then switch to a henchman, and boom, you're still playing. So there's ways around it. So that's my take on it. I'm sure we'll have a lot more discussion about it on Sunday. But hope you're all doing really, really well. Please do check out Joe, Eric, and Don's videos, and like and subscribe to them, please. Hope you're all doing really well. Let me know what you think of my take on character death in the comments. I'd love to hear what you have to say. And I'll talk to you all later, and hope to see you Sunday. Thanks for watching today's video. Please remember to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Below you'll find links to my Patreon, which helps make these videos possible. You'll also find the web store where you can buy my books, and my blog where you'll find all sorts of free downloads and other articles. Thanks, and have a great day.